If you have been watching my channel, you will probably know by now how important skip level meetings are. But what happens when your boss blocks you from meeting their manager? And in this video, I want to explain to you why your boss blocks you from having skip level meetings with their manager and how to handle the situation to still advance your career and get visibility and recognition from senior executives. In case you're new here, I'm Tiffany, former Vice President of Marketing and Communication at two of the largest Swedish companies by market cap. On this channel, we talk about everything to help middle management get senior executive positions. Subscribe if you want more content on this topic. Now let's get into it. So to start with, why your boss want to block skip level meetings, I'll begin with a good intention. In most organizations, there's a chain of command. It exists for a good reason because this helps to make sure that communication flows smoothly. And your manager does this because they want to keep this structured interaction and avoid any messages getting mixed up. For example, let's say you are the marketing director in region EMEA and you are responsible for managing the full P&L for a product line. And in this role, you oversee the product launches, marketing campaigns, and channel strategy for region Europe. Now, say a particular market, for example, Germany, didn't perform as well as expected this quarter. The volume was lower than forecast. Your manager, the CMO, explains the overall performance of the global marketing to the CEO. The CMO is very likely to have their own specific narrative in mind when they explain why certain markets underperformed. Perhaps it was because of the market saturation or competitive pricing in that region. The CMO also highlighted how the underperformance in Europe was balanced by the strong result in other regions with the product mix, and they framed the overall performance globally in a more positive light. During your skip level meeting, you are meeting directly with the CEO, right? You might be asked a specific question about German market's performance. Why sales were lower? Well, you knew the story and the data inside out, so you might give a more worrying story that does not align with the CMO's plan and narrative. This could lead to a mixed messaging or misalignment with the CMO's narrative and confuse the CEO and create inconsistency in how the company's overall marketing and sales performance is reported. This could be one of the reasons why your manager is blocking your skip level meetings. They want to make sure that the messaging and narrative are consistent and is aligned with the cross-functional and regional leadership team while presenting to the senior executive. And the next reason that your manager might block your skip level meetings is that they are probably trying to protect you from too much pressure too soon. When you're in the room with senior executives like president or the CEO, things can get really intense. If you have not had a lot of one-on-one experience with them before, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. And when that happens, you might not be ready to handle their question or their style of communication. And now here is when it gets tricky. If you make a weak first impression, it's not just bad for you, it's bad for your manager as well. When it comes to succession planning or talent review, that bad impression can actually stick around for a very long time. The president or the CEO might remember that meeting and question your ability. This would make it much harder for your manager to push for your promotion later on. I've been there myself. When I was the vice president, I had a really strong team of directors. They're really great at what they did. But my manager is the regional president, and he was a tough and very sharp person. He had a lot of pressure from the top, which I could understand. And honestly speaking, sometimes he could come across as intimidating. Now, if you don't grab his attention in the first couple of minutes, he'd check out and lose interest on you. Even if the meeting was supposed to go for half an hour, he would ask you to leave in under 5 to 10 minutes. Once I put a director from my team in front of the president during a skip level meeting, and it didn't go well. The reason was that this director was fantastic at executing large exhibitions and marketing campaigns, but when he spoke in the skip level meeting, he focused too much on the operational details. The president, on the other hand, had no interest in the nitty-gritty of the daily operations. He was looking for big picture thinking, strategic insights. As the director was talking, the president only wanted to know, what's your conclusion? What do you want to say? The director wasn't prepared for this fast-paced meeting and he got lost in the weeds. So he made a mistake of sharing details that were 2 to 3 levels too deep for that setting. It wasn't relevant to what the president needed to hear. For the entire next year during the talent review, when I put this director's name on the star place, I got challenged to take him down to core player. There was even talk of demoting the person, all because of that one bad impression. So your manager might be blocking these skip level meetings not to hold you back, but to make sure that when you do get in front of the senior executive, the CEO, the president, you are ready to make a strong first impression that would help, not hurt your career. By the way, I want to let you know now you can join my free executive masterclass. In the class, you will get my step-by-step roadmap on how, after being stagnant in director positions for 8 years, I eventually advanced to senior executive positions in Fortune 500 companies. You will also learn the mistake I made and the wrong things I worked on. It's 1 hour long and it's completely free. So who is this class for? It is specially designed for directors, managers, and team leaders with international career. And you are a high performer. You have been consistently growing your career up until now. In recent years, you find yourself stuck in middle management. So if this sounds like you, I'd love to invite you to join this free executive masterclass. You can check the link below to save your spot. It's completely free. Now let's also talk about the different reasons your boss might be blocking your skip level meetings. And this one, not so much about good intentions. Sometimes it comes down to selfish reasons, honestly. First, your boss might feel threatened by the idea of you having direct access to the senior leadership team, like the president or the CEO. They could be worried that if you build a strong relationship with the higher-ups, it might undermine their influence. And they don't want you to outshine them, or they fear losing control over how your team is perceived by the top. Another thing that might be happening is the micromanagement. Some managers like to control every interaction with the top. They want to make sure that the narrative that goes to the senior leadership team is exactly how they want it framed. If you are meeting with the president directly, your boss might feel like they are losing control. The third common reason is that your manager wants to keep you in your current role for a while, especially if you're doing really well. Maybe you are handling a critical project and you are playing a key role in a project that they don't want to lose you from. So if you become too visible to the senior leaders, they might worry that you will get promoted or move to another team too soon. Here's the thing to remember. People want the best version of you that serves them, even if it does not serve you and your growth. Very likely, your manager is not thinking about your long-term career progression. They may be more focused on how keeping you in place could benefit their own performance. Now, whether your manager has good intentions or selfish motivations for blocking your skip level meetings, there are still ways to gain visibility and advance your career. And here is what you can do. The first step is to understand why your manager is blocking these meetings. If they are genuinely trying to protect you or manage the flow of communication, try to see things from their perspective. Have an open and honest conversation and show that you acknowledge their concerns. You could say something like this. I completely understand you want to make sure consistency in communication with the executive team, and I fully support that. Can we talk about how I can contribute to this goal? This shows that you respect their position and where they're coming from, and you are willing to work together towards a solution. Now, if your boss's biggest concern is that you are not ready for direct exposure to the president or the CEO because of the high-pressure environment, ask them for more mentorship and opportunities to build your executive presence. Let them know that you are open to get any feedbacks and you're willing to improve yourself. Now, many of you, directors, managers, and team leaders, you get feedback during your performance reviews indicating that you need to develop executive presence. And you often have no clue what executive presence actually is. Probably even more interesting is that the person who advising you to develop it often cannot explain it either. They say something to you like, you will know it when you see it. Well, that's super actionable, right? To many of us, executive presence seems magical and invisible, but it is somehow communicating to everyone that you are the leader. The worst thing you could do to yourself is to believe that some people are just naturally born with it, while others, like you, like me, are not. Without further thought, many of you believe that there's no hope that you would ever develop it. What I can share with you, not only from my own journey of becoming a vice president as an introvert, but also from helping many of my clients achieving this goal, is that executive presence is a skill that can be developed and practiced. It is absolutely not something people are born with naturally. You can watch this video later where I shared how to develop it step by step. Now, let's come to this point. What if your manager is blocking your skip level meetings for selfish reasons? Maybe they want to maintain control, they don't want you to outshine them, or they just want to keep you in your current job for their own benefit. And here is what you can do. One of the best things you can do is to start building relationships with other leaders across functions, regions, even business units. Do not rely only on your manager to support your growth. For you to go from middle management to senior executive positions, you need more than just one person. You will need a network of advocates. These are the people who will notice your work and speak up for you during talent reviews and succession planning. And make sure that these are people who have influence as well. People who sit at the table when these important career decisions are made. Next, even if your manager blocks formal skip level meetings, you can still get visibility through your work. One example I can share here is a client of mine. Her manager was clear to her that she should not schedule any formal meetings with the manager of his manager. But this client led some highly strategic areas in the organization and has direct contact of key account customers. So during key account customer event, contract signing meetings, and dinners where the CEO was present, she led discussions and showcased her leadership. Over the time, without any formal one-on-one meetings, she ended up spending hours interacting with the organization's CEO during these events. And the CEO took notice, and she gained recognition without even having a formal skip level meeting. Now, not all visibilities are going to do you a favor, and some will really work against you in your career advancement. Now, you might want to watch this video and understand why you are highly visible, but still you are not getting promoted. I'll see you there.